Clark. The brooding mage over on the right, Caleb Durward, readying himself to cast some spells. Turn 1 from Dakota. He's won the die roll on the play. Will be a Serum Visions.
I believe that Caleb is living in the Madison area these days, so not a terrible commute for him.
Now we're here in Milwaukee, just about an hour out of Madison. Just an hour from Chicago as well. We get a lot, best of both communities here.
And it's not far enough to put fear into the heart of a Minnesotan.
No, this is, I think, the closest you get to Minneapolis on the tour. Dakota draws a land, a scry here to set up.
A couple threats on the top. Looks like a Swift Spear and a Storm Chaser Mage.
So Geist of St. Trapped is a 3 of in Caleb's deck, and you pinpointed that as a key card on Caleb's side.
When you're playing one of these tempo strategies, the scariest thing your opponent can do is play Geist, because in terms of raw damage output, it's better than all of your cards. And you have 0 answers to it.
Caleb's turn 1 play is a Temple Garden into Noble Hierarch. Dakota, look at this, the main deck Twisted Image. Can't do much better than that. He did have to, this came at cost. He had Storm Chaser Mage in hand, had to forego it to cast.
And he left the Swift Spear under the Storm Chaser Mage on his deck, which makes sense in terms of mana efficiency.
Oh, yeah.
Missed a point because of it.
He topped on the Serum Vision. So, yeah, he draws and then draws Swift Spear. Caleb's still down to 17. It's still a great play, I think, for Dakota.
Yep. This pays off in a big way if your opponent's not playing a deck that plays into Twisted Image.
Right.
But it doesn't cost him a ton, given that he was.
Tap Hallowed Fountain for Caleb as we go back to Dakota's turn. Just 1 mana up for Caleb. Could be Path to Exile, could be nothing. So from Dakota, we will see Storm Chaser Mage, a 3rd land, and attack for 2. Both creatures have prowess, but he's not going to play any spells. This means that Caleb joins him at 15, so same life totals going to Caleb's 3rd turn, but he is behind on the board.
It is a 4 mutagenic growth deck, but casting one there into Path to Exile mana, that could end up being an unforced error.
Cavern of Souls for Caleb. It's going to name Spirit.
Surprise!
Yeah. It tells you a little bit about what's going on over there. Now, there are no counter spells in the main deck for Dakota, so it's just a mana fixing.
Just a bunch of Vapor Snags, Lightning Bolts, Lightning Helixes.
Caleb says go. On end step, Dakota goes and gets another land with his fetch.
Caleb most likely representing a Spell Queller here. The Jeskai aggro deck, pretty adept at dealing with Spell Queller.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're right with what he's representing, but it's not particularly good here. Dakota, first of all, gets a free attack. Even if Caleb quells a card, these creatures still prowess.
And it's fairly likely that we'll see Caleb just cast Spell Queller, just as a 2/3 with Flash.
Draw for turn from Dakota Clark is Lightning Helix, and Caleb is in a world of hurt. The remaining cards in Dakota's hand are Land 5, Lightning Helix, and 2 Snapcaster Mages. This is just about perfect.
This is a very aggressive Snapcaster Mage
so
for the record.
Dakota's going to cast Snapcaster Mage. He was looking to Twisted Image with it, or maybe Serum Visions. Either way, Caleb is spell quelling it.
He does have the Helix to tag the Queller, but nothing that he'd be able to flashback on with the Snapcaster Mage this turn.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of playing the Snapcaster this way. Especially because Queller is so likely. Either way, Dakota does Helix the Queller. Snapcaster comes back, nothing gets flashback, but he swings, and it's for 4 thanks to prowess. Caleb is at 11.
And, you know, the Snapcaster Mage adding the body to the table here, there's no way that Caleb just untaps and casts a sweeper effect. Okay. Not with Cavern on Spirit.
So Caleb's hand is 3 copies of Collected Company.
Not bad. The question is, do you main phase it? If Caleb is seeing these deck lists floating around online, you know there's no counter spells.
Yep.
And I think Caleb's the kind of player that would do his homework and know that.
Caleb is very savvy when it comes to deck building. He's one of the bigger brewers in the area. Dakota draws for the turn, draws Monastery Swift Spear. Plays land 5, casts Swift Spear. This is great. He has enough mana to play that last card, which is Snapcaster, and get Lightning Helix off it.
Yep. That second Snapcaster looks quite powerful here.
So Dakota's going to play Swift Spear. It looks like in response, Caleb is fetching. He's going to go for that Collected Company with Swift Spear on the stack. Interestingly, if in upkeep, I was going to say, I wonder if there's a way he could Reflector Mage this out, but no. He'll still get a lot of value.
Doing this with the Swift Spear on the stack because finding a Spell Queller for that would be significant. Otherwise, it's tempting to try to catch Dakota in combat with Reflector Mages.
Yeah, I'm still very concerned, though, about this Snapcaster Lightning Helix just finishing off the game in favor of Dakota Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Caleb needs to hit a great company to survive to the next turn.
Drogskull Captain Spell Queller would be a pretty good hit here.
Or like 2 captains, something
Oh,
that...
double Captain. Yeah, that'd be great. Phantasmal Image Captain.
There it is.
All right.
2 Drogskull Captains. So because they hit the board at the same time, they just immediately have hexproof. This is such a big hit for Caleb.
Yeah.
So he has 2 3/3 hexproofers now in play. Wow.
Not bad. And with 2 collected companies still in the grip, this is looking pretty good for Durward.
Well, his life total's still under pressure because Dakota has the play of Snapcaster, shoot a Lightning Helix upstairs. If Caleb blocks wrong, he might die this turn.
Yeah, so what Caleb has to respect here is mutagenic growth, and really, he can't do it in combat. He just has to make some blocks.
A shake of the head on Dakota Clark's face. This is one of the few companies that truly blew him out. Any other company, and he could have Snapcaster, Helixed one of the creatures, and likely swung for, if not lethal, 8, 9 damage.
Oh, yeah.
But this is so huge.
Wouldn't be surprising if Caleb had good options in that mix, and he specifically chose these 2 creatures.
And if Dakota doesn't win fast, remember, there's going to be a collected company happening every single turn for the rest of the game here.
Oh, yeah. And with hits like this, how do you lose? At 10, the deck does have a lot of reach. He has 4 creatures on the table. You can just push through this turn. Everything will connect for at least 2 that goes unblocked because you can just aggressively Snapcaster Lightning Helix and try to peel more burn spells.
Yeah, I mean, the hard part is with this 1 prowess trigger, all of Dakota's creatures get up to 2 power. None of them are actually big enough to, he wish he had like some sort of 0-mana spell, like a Taxian Probe, something here. He's going to swing the team anyway. There's going to be some carnage on one side of the board.
And so this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. You want to find a way to be the control deck. Dakota has recognized that he cannot play that role in this game. Obviously, he can't kill these captains. The issue is Caleb, just by virtue of how the game has to play, is in that advantage seat of being the control player.
Yeah. With 2 captains in play, Dakota will never be able to remove Caleb's creatures outside of combat anymore.
And this attack, it will put Caleb down to 3.
Oh, I really like this, actually. Look at this one. So it's a swing. Dakota's going to Snapcast a Twisted Image. Swift Spear flips into a 3/2. It's going to trade with a captain, which means when it dies, the other captain will die. This is actually a great find from Dakota.
Yeah, that was a massive swing.
Draws a card off the Twisted Image. It's going to be 4 damage, putting Caleb to 6. A big trade happens. Caleb loses his board.
The only way to play around that would be to just block Snapcaster Mage. Then you're facing down 3 1-power prowess creatures. Lightning Helix would make that 9. Technically, you could have survived.
Go back over to Caleb. He plays land 5. He has another company in hand, and he has a Path to Exile. It's a great 2 cards, but he has a fetch land. He's now down to a virtual 5 if he wants to make that play. If this company misses, it still lights out.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Dakota, not a spell in hand, another Storm Chaser Mage.
Yeah, plays the Mage. His last card's a land. We'll see if he continues hitting. You see on his face, I think he knows that it's collected company that's happening. But he might just swing anyway. Looks like in response to the Mage, Caleb's going to sacrifice the land to fetch land to go to 5.
Yeah, go get that untapped basic. It's 1 less miss in your deck when you cast a collected company. You know you're casting Path to Exile.
Yeah, gets the basic planes. You're absolutely right. Down to 5. If you're in Caleb's spot, you almost certainly are not. It's very hard for you to beat, say, a Lightning Bolt at this point. If that last card in Dakota's hand is that, you're done.
You have to play as if it's not there. You could only possibly lose your self-equity by respecting a spell that you can't beat.
However, if that card is a land, Caleb might play as though it's a land because he can win that game.
Yes.
And that's the game that's happening.
Lucky for him.
All right, so this is still with Mage on the stack. You see Caleb showing that here. He's going to collect some more company.
Wants to Spell Queller that one for sure.
Yeah, doing this in case he hits a Queller. Rattle Chains looks like it's an option. Drogskull Captain, Geist of St. Traft can pick, and Spell Queller.
I like Spell Queller Captain quite a bit.
I think Caleb does too. Yeah, get this, a Spell Queller with Hexproof. I'd sign up for that.
That's a combo.
Storm Chaser Mage now under the Spell Queller.
And Dakota's attacks look mighty bad against this table.
Can he still swing here? I guess Queller's a 2/3, isn't it?
Yeah, Caleb cannot.
Or 3/4.
Caleb cannot respect a spell in hand. If Dakota has it, Caleb's already in enough trouble. He's going to make blocks as if it's there.
Caleb draws no 6th land, but he still has another company and a path. It's pretty great. And now he's trying to shore things up. He plays Selfless Spirit. His creatures are now indestructible on command. His hand is Path to Exile, Spell Queller, Collected Company. It seems that Caleb has turned the corner now.
Yes, and at 5 life instead of at 3.
Right, so he could even let a Lightning Bolt happen.
Dakota may be at 17, but it's not going to take long with Drogskull Captain online for Caleb to start punching through this.
Another Collected Company in hand? I mean, it's pretty great. Dakota now, I think, 2 lands. As he draws the second card, it's another land. He passes. Caleb now contemplating if he wants to end step another Queller for pressure, maybe path something. Looks like just another Spell Queller. It's a 3/4 thanks to Drogskull Captain.
And Caleb has a very good sense that at least one of the cards in Dakota's hand is blank, because he did not make an attack on the previous turn.
Caleb will Path to Exile away the Storm Chaser Mage. And now he's going to put together some sort of attack. His last 2 cards are Land and Collected Company. He wanted to get rid of that flying blocker, it looks like. Did not want it to prowess into a 2/4 and then eat an attacker.
Yeah, he wants to make an attack with the Selfless Spirit, and he does not want to sacrifice it for no value. That's his kind of insurance plan for the Drogskull Captain, which is making his board look mighty fine here.
Dakota Clark failing to find his deck plays 3 basics.
2 in play. Must be a mountain in the hand.
Yeah. Gross. A swing from Caleb Durward of Captain and Selfless Spirits. That's going to be 5 points of damage. The Spirit is pumped up to 3 thanks to the Captain that's attacking next to. Draw for Dakota Clark. Looks like Twisted Image.
He would need to be able to Twisted Image into a spell to get this Swift Spear to trade with a Spell Queller, which isn't even what this game is about.
Well, I mean, that's assuming Caleb's hand's empty, which it isn't. But he'll try. Here's Twisted Image on Swift Spear. It may be Dakota's best line. Caleb looking at his graveyard. He'll allow that. Twisted Image resolves.
Yeah, it would be pretty aggressive to Collected Company in response to that.
Lightning Helix, the draw for Dakota. Okay, that takes care of the Captain.
Well, it takes care of the Selfless Spirit.
Oh, gross. Everything's protecting everything else. This is horrible.
Yeah. And Caleb does have a lethal flying attack on the table currently with Collected Company backup.
Is the question, I guess, would it be lethal through Lightning Helix gain 3? You know, can Dakota shoot this upstairs, take the full brunt of the air attack, and then hope and cross his fingers, I suppose?
Well, he's about to find out about the Lightning Helix.
All right, he's going to Helix Caleb. So this will prowess the Swift Spear up to a 4/3. Remember, those numbers are switched thanks to Twisted Image. And Caleb, yeah, here's another Collected Company. A Drogskull Captain or a Spell Queller here is game over. It looks like Caleb may have missed. I think it's Noble Hierarch.
Yep.
And just Noble Hierarch. Company was not collected this time.
It's below average.
So Dakota will gain up to 15 here. Caleb either loses the Spell Queller or the Selfless Spirit. It's his choice. This Queller that's in combat here is the one that does not have a card under it.
We found ourselves back into a game where Caleb is dead to a top deck burn spell.
You're right. Caleb at 2. Draws. Snapcaster Mage, I think?
I think it's Rattle Chains.
Not the same, but... Oh, it's Mausoleum Wanderer. The 1-mana 1/1.
Who could?
Yeah.
So it is a 2/2 given, it checks on its power, right, for the counter ability?
Yes, so he can make Dakota pay 2.
So a Snapcaster Mage Lightning Helix wouldn't do it here, though Dakota does have the
yeah,
mountain
he's got
in his
the
hand
mountain.
yet.
So a big swing by Caleb. He's hoping to dodge the burn spell and make it lethal next turn. Does Dakota hit?
Mantis Rider.
Mantis Rider. No, he has a blocker.
Kind of blockable. It gets to eat the Mausoleum Wanderer and then be a blocker for Caleb's board.
Okay, that's not bad. Dakota's still in the game then. Here's the Mantis Rider. I think Dakota wondering if he wants to swing Snapcaster Mage. I actually think that's a free attack right here.
I am inclined to agree.
Yeah, he's going to swing. So Caleb has to double chump block.
Yep. Goodbye Hierarch. Goodbye Wanderer.
I wonder whether or not Caleb loses the Selfless Spirit over this or whether he does the double chump.
I think the Selfless Spirit's worth too much from here.
Caleb thinking about that same question right now.
Anything that does not make his attack better on the following turn, I think is too awkward.
Yeah, the mana Noble Hierarch not really counting as a card anymore. It doesn't do anything.
Well, actually, the Hierarch might be the thing that you try to keep so that you can make an Exalted attack that matters more against the Mantis Rider.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Caleb's going to keep the creatures. He gets rid of Selfless Spirit. So both Noble Hierarch and Mausoleum Wanderer stay alive. We pass back to Caleb. He's still at 2. He's got Dakota down to 7. Draw for turn is maybe another Selfless Spirit. Oh, that it is. That's huge.
This game is all about the top of Dakota's deck right now.
He casts that. That pumps Maelstrom Wanderer to a 3-power creature. So Spellqueller's a 3, Wanderer's a 3, Captain's a 2. It's not enough to get through Mantis Rider just yet.
Yep, just has to choose if he wants to attack with 1 creature or 2 creatures here. Very similar attacks.
So Mausoleum Wanderer will attack. It's going to Exalt.
And I like this because the Spellqueller is a profitable blocker on the Mantis Rider currently.
Right, so the Wanderer got pumped off the Selfless Spirit. It's getting pumped off the Captain and off the Exalted trigger, so it's actually a 4/4. Dakota's going to take the hit, go to 3. 1 card in Caleb's hand. Dakota deciding, does he want to crack the fetch land? No.
Right. Do you have
Big
a lightning
draw.
bolt?
Can he do it?
What you got?
It's not there just yet.
Doesn't look red to me.
But is he dead on the next turn? Mantis Rider in play.
Looks like
Just
mutagenic
passes.
growth.
Well, he should be happy he's at 3, not 2, I suppose, but that's not a good draw either way. The deck plays no green mana sources.
Growth technically castable.
Full swing by Caleb. Going
Caleb's
for
having
lethal.
none of it.
His hand is 2 lands. He knows the Jeskai aggro deck has very little control in the situation, and game 1 goes to Caleb Durward. Completes the comeback. And, you know, for a deck that played 3 straight collected companies, he needed all 3 of them.
He kind of missed on the third one.
Right. Well, you know, they needed to happen in that order. Like,
yes.
It was.
Yes, the third one had to be the one that
missed. It was. Jeez. So Caleb Durward up a game over Dakota Clark. We're going to go move over to the sideboards then. Jeskai aggro. It looks so strong he had Caleb on the ropes for so many turns. Let's look at his sideboard. We have, you said he wants to go big if possible.
Yes.
2 Dispel, 3 Surgical Extraction, 2 Blessed Alliance, 2 Wear Tear, 2 Magma Spray, a Spell Pierce, a Vendilion Click, a Threads of Disloyalty, and a Path to Exile.
So if we want to try to play a controlling role, we can bring in Path to Exile, the 2 Magma Sprays, the 2 Blessed Alliance, which I don't think is really good against these flash style of decks. It's a removal spell, sure, but Caleb's playing a bunch of creatures. They're all very small. I don't like the Alliance. So you really only have 3 removal spells you can bring in. You could also bring in Vendilion Click because it's a profitable blocker against, say, a Spellqueller. And the Dispels I do like for this role as well because not countering Collected Company can be disastrous. So that's what I would be looking to do if you can execute it. Bring in the Dispels, bring in the Path, bring in the Magma Sprays. Hope that you're able to interact with Caleb on the stack effectively.
Now there's another option here that I just want to ask you about. Is it possible for Dakota, if they both board for a control fight, I do think that Dakota is still behind here. Mainly because he doesn't have anything on the level of Collected Company. It might still be the right play, but could he go the other direction? Could he just give up the control and say, no, I'm going to be the red deck. I'm going to Magma Spray your 2-drop. I'm not going to play any Blessed Alliances. I'm just going to get fast.
That is actually the controlling role. Magma Spray and Noble Hierarch is how you play the control against deck like this. You put them off balance. You take them off the pace that they want to play the game. And I think that Magma Spray, while the game will look aggressive, that Magma Spray is a very controlling spell.
But I guess maybe, okay, then get off like no Blessed Alliance,
Yeah, I think I'm on board with no Blessed Alliance. The question is, do you still want mutagenic growth? And I don't think he can properly leverage that spell in this kind of matchup.
Interesting. Okay, so options for Dakota, but yeah, I get what you're on. That makes a lot of sense. We're going to get to Caleb's deck in a second. First, I want to tell you about the Commander 2016 set. So coming out soon here, we have the Commander 26 edition deck and set of 5 decks. These are now all available at StarCityGames.com. These are 5 4-color, 100-card Commander decks, along with 56 new Magic cards in them. So you can pre-order these right now. These you will get. Also with you, I'll have Commander versus Playmats. This is from our web series, the Versus series with Justin Parnell, John Suarez, Stephen Green, and Jeremy Knoll. You can get either of these individually or the set of all 4 as a bundle. Now, you can pre-order them. They're available today, and they ship on November 11th when the set becomes legal. So learn about all of this, starcitygames.com/Commander2016. On Caleb's side, the control role seems more natural to him. He's got some bigger spells. So we're going to go through what he has. Stony Silence, Rest in Peace, Path to Exile, Engineered Explosives, Spellskite, Kasali Pride Mage, Blessed Alliance, and Rock's Warmonk.
So I think that alliances look pretty bad on Dakota's side. I think they look great on Caleb's side.
Yeah, I'm pretty...
The life gain's great. The Wing Shards effect is great. I like Rock's Warmonk. It's a life-linking threat that gets out of Helix and Lightning Bolt range.
Yeah, I have to think that's in his sideboard for burn, but this is close enough.
This is the same deck.
X4s. Dakota doesn't kill things with 4 toughness.
It's weak to Vapor Snag, but what creature isn't? Got a Path to Exile, which is going to be great here, and the 2 Engineered Explosives also looking pretty solid. Even though both decks have spells on the same slots on the curve, Caleb is probably going to be chump blocking or trying to trade and ended up eating a spell in combat a couple times. That makes him better able to leverage these Engineered Explosives.
So when he looks to maybe become a more controlling deck, what does he get away from in the main here? You see some copies of, it's mostly just creatures and then spells. I don't think he wants to stop playing Steel of the Godhead, for example.
I'm pretty sure he wants to get off of these Mausoleum Wanderers. This card,
1/1
Yep, this looks a lot like Delver of Secrets, which is a card that I board out in these kind of matchups, playing these kinds of decks. Because if it's bad at blocking, it's bad in these matchups.
Yeah, that game, Caleb did seem, especially because he'll be on the draw game too, it seems like he'll end up blocking. Also, he wants to be blocking.
Yeah, this matchup is interesting when we talk about Geist of Saint Draft.
Yeah, so that's a card that doesn't block at all, but boy, does it attack.
The fact that it kills so quickly and the fact that it plus Steel of the Godhead is so good in this matchup, I think that this is the kind of thing that you have in your deck on the play in this matchup, and you sideboard it out on the draw.
Oh, that's neat. Okay. I mean, Steel the Godhead plus Geist probably just wins.
That's a combo.
But you're right that Caleb may never survive to let that happen, and there's just no blocking when it comes to...
Yep, if they're sitting there with Swift Spear, Storm Chaser Mage, Mantis Rider, and your play is Geist of Saint Draft, you have no profitable blocks, and you're dead before you can attack.
If Geist of Saint Draft comes out, can we really play Steel the Godhead, though? The only other way Caleb's creatures get hexproof is Drog Skull Captain. And I guess a one-time from Rattle Chains.
Yeah, I think it's ambitious to have that card in your deck if you don't have Geist. And it's possible that this package is too fragile for that reason. Maybe you just don't even want it.
I really want Steel the Godhead, and I agree with you about Geist of Saint Draft. It's pulling it in opposite directions here.
Yes. So those are the 2 things I'm looking at. It's either Mausoleum Wanderer or it's the Geist Steel of the Godhead package. And there's a good chance it changes play draw.
Game 2 underway. Dakota back on the play. He's going to start with Gitaxian Probe. Let's see what Caleb is on. He's kept, wow, looks like a 1-land hand, but 1 land, this is some control for sure. So he's got 2 Path to Exiles and a Blessed Alliance. So 3 removal spells. He has Selfless Spirit, Rattle Chains, and Drog Skull Captain. And this is all with 1 fetch land. So of all the 1-landers you can keep, there's a lot of play to this one.
Yeah, Path to Exile is superb against this deck. You know that they're threat light. They're playing Mutagenic Growth and a bunch of burn spells.
Land go from Dakota Clark. Caleb's draw was Mausoleum Wanderer. We wondered if he'd keep it in. It looks like he has, at least for now.
So presumably it's the Geist in the sideboard right now.
Yeah, that would make sense. Of note, Dakota also has his Blessed Alliances in the deck.
Okay.
So it looks like he too is slowing down for the matchup.
I like the philosophy.
It's going to be hard, though. So Caleb's stuck on lands, which sticking stuck on 1 is usually a disaster. In such a Delvery tempo matchup, I almost want to say if Caleb sticks on one land for a few turns here, but just gets to path away some creatures, that might be fine. I mean, not great, but like you could still play Magic.
Yeah, it's certainly not the worst.
Here's Wanderer from Caleb. Dakota's going to bolt it.
Funny thing happens is if, Dakota, if Caleb stalls on this one land for a while, tries to get aggressive, the Blessed Alliance is sort of like a mulligan for playing that role.
Yeah, it's just not a card.
It's a
Caleb doesn't play anything.
It's a prowess trigger.
Well, that was why I was curious if Dakota would board it in. It's because if he's attacking, it's not really a card.
Same. I feel like if you want it, it's maybe an on-the-draw kind of card.
Another land here for Clark. I'm not sure if Clark has an attacker.
He has a Mantis Rider, but nothing just yet.
Mantis Rider is pretty huge. But yeah, he's got to fight through this sea of Path to Exiles.
And those Path to Exiles start to look really good. We see the basic planes in his hand already. If he draws another basic land before the second one fires off, that's just a Swords to Plowshares.
Land go. Big test here for Caleb. Does he hit? No. He draws a second Drogskull Captain.
Below average draw step there for Durward.
7-card hand, does not have to discard just yet. Dakota picking up a pretty relevant card. It's a copy of Dispel, looks like, in his hand. Draws Serum Visions for the turn. So maybe he tries to set up Mantis Rider Dispel. He holds it off a turn so that to choke Caleb on mana.
Yeah. Force him to spread the Path to Exiles across 2 turns, get that hit in for 3. He's got a bunch of burn in hand.
Serum Visions draws him another Lightning Helix, now with 2 of them. Top cards in deck are Path to Exile and Storm Chaser Mage. I'm pretty sure he wants the Mage.
I like the Mage. She keeps the Path in case Caleb just hits land drops and starts trying to be the aggressor, which I'm on board with. It's also a spell, and he has 3 lands.
Breeding Pool for Caleb. He does. I guess if he wants to let his Mantis Rider get pathed as well, then he won't draw the path.
Sure.
Caleb shocks down to 15. He's hit his land. Grip of 7 cards. No play. He'll pass. Dakota draws the Storm Chaser Mage.
And given that Rattle Chains has Flash, Caleb can be leaving up a reactive spell, or cast the Rattle Chains and get a little bit of aggressive if Dakota's not up to anything.
No 4th land in Dakota's hand. He's got Mantis Rider and Storm Chaser Mage's creatures.
And not having a 4th land in the face of this double Path to Exile hand is great for Dakota.
Yeah, Dispel, Blessed Alliance. So actually, Dakota looks like he passes the turn. No plays. Caleb plays Rattle Chains. What happened here? This is confusing.
I'm actually really impressed that Dakota is committing to this line. He understands that he needs to be the control here. He's seen the 2 Path to Exiles. You get aggressive there, you get your creature path. What are you actually getting out of this exchange? I love that pass a lot.
Okay, it's going to be Blessed Alliance from Dakota, making Caleb sacrifice the Rattle Chains. So walk me through it then. If we're not playing our creatures, what are we doing if we're Dakota Clark?
Using these kill spells to stop Caleb from attacking us. Dakota's at 15. He does some Lightning Helixes, but he has to make sure he can effectively fire them off.
Selfless Spirit by Caleb, taps out for it. Well, now that Caleb has left his mana down for a turn, do we Mantis Rider?
I might Storm Chaser Mage. Blocks the Selfless Spirit.
So eventually we'll see. When does he play? If he doesn't want to play the creatures into these paths, when does he play them?
I like right now, cast the Mantis Rider, you can have your blue mana available in time for Caleb to ever potentially have Collected Company.
Sure.
You don't necessarily want to dispel a Path to Exile.
Yeah, the Mantis Rider hits Caleb down to 12. Caleb untaps, plays land 3. His hand, Path. He has Geist of St. Traft as a pickup here. Not going to play that, though. He'll path away the Mantis Rider. Swing for 2 with Selfless Spirit.
And these tempo matchups are a lot like control mirrors in the sense that when you're the first player to miss a land drop, you sometimes get shoehorned into being the control. Of course, with both players missing the land drop now. Right, that's what I meant, sorry. Yeah, you have to start getting aggressive if you're not able to cast the spells in your hand. Think about Dakota's deck, though. Once he has 3 lands, he can cast whatever he's up to. Caleb's 4th land is very important.
This is why I play combo decks. I don't know, man. I have these spells, I drew them, and I have my lands. I want to play them now. I put them in my deck so I could play them.
I am a big fan of just passing turn with mana up.
Well, if my deck's all kill spells, I'm pretty into it, but... this whole transitioning your game plan.
You're saying that trying to play a control role with a 1/3 creature in your deck is not where you want to be?
I want to be the same game. I want to do the same thing every game.
Isn't this what your draft decks do? Block with your 1/3?
Storm Chaser Mage for Dakota Clark. It swings. Blessed Alliance for Caleb. Can't really. He could dispel it.
I like not dispelling it.
Okay, wait. If we're not, I don't understand this. So if we're not dispelling, what are we doing? What are we just going to keep getting hit by Selfless Spirit?
Yes.
He does dispel it. All right, he dispels it, and then he Lightning Helixes Caleb's face. He switches game plans. I get this. I like this.
So he has another Lightning Helix, and I believe Path to Exile is the other card. He can try to get aggressive with the Storm Chaser Mage.
Caleb's down to 6, and we have 1 Lightning Helix in our hand. Boom, I get it. Bolt wins.
True.
Makes sense. Snapcaster probably wins.
Yep.
This makes sense.
This land is good for Caleb.
So what is Caleb's play? He's going to play Geist of St. Trapped, and it looks like he has Path to Exile in hand. He may just shoot this off now. Yeah, I swing Selfless Spirit.
I would recommend pathing now.
Yeah, don't let Dakota dispel it.
Yes.
So Dakota, out of creatures, gets a land.
Still has that island in his deck.
I guess Caleb wins in 2 attacks here.
True. Wonder if Dakota knew about Geist of St. Traft.
He did not from the Gitaxian Probe. He still knows that there is a Drog Skull Captain in Caleb's hand from long time ago. The rest of the cards have all been played, so the last one's an unknown for Dakota.
I suppose given the composition of Dakota's deck, the fact that Snapcaster Mage is his only real source of card advantage, there's going to be a point, obviously, where you have to turn the corner and win the game.
Dakota can't keep playing Control, not against Geist and Collected Company,
Yeah, that's
right?
why I was specifically wondering if he knew that this card was in Caleb's deck list at all. Because if you know that Geist of St. Traft is a potential threat, that really incentivizes getting aggressive.
A swing for 8 from Caleb will drop Dakota to 4. And maybe if he doesn't know the list, it's a pretty unknown list, right?
Sure.
But I guess if you're in Dakota's spot, a blue-white deck playing Maelstrom Wanderer, Geist's got to be on your radar, right? It's a spirit and it's blue-white.
Mausoleum Wanderer.
Yeah, that's the one. Maelstrom is not playing the commander card.
It certainly has to be on your radar. And Geist is a card, it's a blind spot for this Jeskai aggro deck. If your opponent gets aggressive with Geist of St. Traft, you're just kind of in trouble. There's no mana leaks here. There's no way to Blessed Alliance it unless you have a removal spell for the Angel token on the same combat.
Can he win? He draws for turn. Does he get that other burn spell? Spirebluff Canal go. No is the answer to that. Company from Caleb. That is probably lethal. Helix upstairs while Caleb's tapped down. It is 3 life for Caleb, 11 for Dakota. But Caleb's attack is for 8. This is any reasonable 2 creatures will get him this.
I'm sure his heart sank a little bit at that Lightning Helix. No follow-up, though.
I mean, Caleb has the Drog Skull Captain in hand. You know, makes 2 spirits here, plays Captain. That's a lethal swing for Durward.
Yeah. He's thinking about, I already see a Spell Queller. Just put that on the table. That should be lethal. He's just seeing if there's anything that he can play around. Presumably, another Blessed Alliance is what's on his radar right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not a Lightning Bolt or a Snapcaster Mage because Caleb would be dead.
Yep.
And once it's not one of those cards...
Could be a Vapor Snag.
Yeah. 2 Quellers for Caleb. I mean, once... Caleb's got to feel good here.
Yes.
You know, there's few cards that can beat him. He's got the Captain in hand. He's got 2 Captains in hand. Ugh. Doesn't even need the second one. Here we go. Drog Skull Captain pumps its team of spirits. Those all have 3 power. That's 12. Dakota has a land and a handshake. Caleb Durward improves to 6-1.
So you saw a lot of what I was talking about play out here in that I think that Dakota played correctly. Given the composition of his hand and his deck, you have to make that attack. You have to try to make these Lightning Helixes lethal because that's just what your deck's doing.
Yeah.
But Caleb is just in the role that you want to be in this matchup. Given the configuration of his deck, I think he's just strategically advantaged.